What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday, BobbyFi with my man, the birthday boy, Eric Sheets-Haber. Eric, what are you, 54 today?
I am.
All right. Well, happy birthday to you. And you got a nice little birthday gift this weekend. You were just all over the place.
I sure did. And I don't want to understate, we haven't really done one of these since you cashed for something big too. There was some like random slate where it looked like neither of us were going to do anything. And then I did okay in something. There was a basketball, and you're like, dude, I totally forgot that I was even in contention. I got second in something for 20K or something.
Yeah.
What was that thing? That was like
the FanDuel on Friday. I finished third for 15, I think it was. I got crushed on DraftKings that night. I literally barely cashed in any lineups. It was a really weird night. I mean, it was one of those you have to pivot everything. On DraftKings, when the news came out about LeBron and all that stuff, instead of reacting to it, I decided to play Steph Curry and get that game stacked a little bit, and it ended up getting me there. So it was a nice little win. It was a good weekend for me too. I ended up, making a few thousand. I made one in basketball on Saturday, one on Sunday in football. But you had a really good week.
Yeah. So again, I told you guys from the beginning that this weekend I was gonna play everything, and I did. I played every showdown slate, every 2-game slate, every 4-game slate. One of my proudest moments, I actually played like all 6 showdowns, and I played one big lineup in each of them. And I cashed in 4 out of the 5, actually. One of them didn't have a big one, but I cashed in 4 out of the 5 of those, which was pretty good.
Nice.
But then, so we went into Saturday, and I was really in good shape, or Sunday, I was really in good shape with golf. I played, only 4 lineups in like the 40, and like all 4 of them were freaking the nuts, pretty much. I mean, like they were all doing great. And one of them was actually in second going into Sunday. And so I was rooting that in. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm going to play these 2 early game slates also. You know, if I don't play them, for no other reason, it would affect my OCD that much because I played every other slate. For me to not play these 2, I just couldn't do it, right?
Right.
So I played the FanDuel slate and the drafting slate. The drafting slate was like, oh my God, it's like a really bad one. I'm only going to put 10 lineups in, right? So I put 10 lineups, and I was looking at them, and I'm like, all right, yeah, this looks good enough. And then I stopped really paying attention to it. Then I started looking, and I saw that my guys were doing well, and I was in like 28th place or something. And then I really wasn't looking at my lineups. I was staring at the game, and like in order, like all 4 of my guys like did something. And when you're on a 2-game slate, like one guy got the rebound, passed to the other guy who made a layup, then another guy stole the ball and laid it in. I'm like, uh-oh, I might be in contention. And then I looked up at the board and it said first place with like 6 minutes to go. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome.
Obviously, when you 6 minutes to go in basketball, especially in a 2-game slate with 1 billion people in it, you could still be out of the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know. Yeah. So I went and I pulled it up, and I kind of rooted it home. And the first thing that I found really interesting, I'm going to pull up right now, is that the amazing thing is that I had a unique lineup in the first place in like a 2-game slate, right?
Right.
I mean, first of all, that's kind of hard enough to do because we look underneath me. There was like a 5-way tie for second, and then a tie for third. You know what I mean? So I was looking, and I was the only one of these, of basically the top 100 to have like Lou Williams, right?
That's wild.
And he went ballistic, and it was one of those things that we talk about. Like, I love to say I did it on purpose and say, oh, this is like my key play. But guys like this, it's what I call self-correlating. They're guys that aren't going to play a lot of minutes until they're playing well, and then they're just going to get rewarded, and they just get left in. And he played like the last 15 minutes of the game, like just was going off. So he was getting there.
Wild. To get him at 6% on a 2-game slate is kind of crazy.
And then this P. Williams guy was doing well. And seriously, I had it sort of more locked up than I really thought. The only thing I needed to fade in the whole last 4 minutes was like your man I think was Garrett Temple.
Oh, Temple.
like Garrett Temple somehow had to outscore like either Lou Williams or like Thad Young to beat me. I didn't realize I was sort of locked up the last like 3 minutes,
That's pretty sweet.
Unless Temple did something cuckoo or whatever. And it was a close game, so there's no way Temple was going to get the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Temple and Valentine only get the ball when they have to inbound it when you need them to not inbound the ball.
Right, exactly.
And then I looked at it, I'm like, oh, let's go. But the point I want to make about this is that, and this I say this about your things all the time. Look, I'd like to say this was hand built on purpose, right? But if you look at the results of this, is all you need is a few, maybe 1 or 2 dudes that are different. Like nothing else here was under 30% owned. Okay. all you needed was, and it's not like Derek Favors broke the slate, whatever, but the Lou Williams thing, that's all you needed is one guy to just go off, and that's the end of the story, you know?
Yeah, but the favors thing does allow you to play a little bit of a different construction, and Lou Williams, I mean, everybody else is going to play different value. And, honestly, like, I think it's actually a better play than you're giving it credit for, because it actually, I'm shocked he was 6% on a 2-game slate, because it doesn't matter what he's done recently. If there's a matchup that's going to get you healthy, it's playing the Bulls.
Yes.
You're gonna have a chance to go off there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's dude, this is beautiful, a wonderful.
So that was a lot of fun. And the other thing I wanted to mention, which I sent to you earlier today, yesterday, and this was actually really, really funny, was I don't know what I was thinking making the lineup, or whatever it is. I did a single entry lineup that cashed for like 300. And for the life of me, I don't know how it's possible. So this was my lineup in the single entry. It had a 0, okay, and then like 2 enormous snowflakes. Just somehow, like, just these are the sheet slates, man. Whenever you don't need that many points, like I can get it done.
No, seriously. I mean, that's sort of what happened Friday. Everything felt like garbage. I felt like I had no chance, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, the guy who did it was your man. Was it Draymond?
No, for sure. But I mean, the thing that's crazy is, like, I don't know. It's bizarre that, like, this last 4 days in the NBA.
Yeah.
The guy who won on Friday, the 300K.
Had a 0, right?
Had a 0. Had Alex Len in his lineup.
It's amazing.
It's just it's a wild guessing game a lot of times, but you can make educated guesses as well.
And one thing I will tell you also, a little bit. I don't want to say victory lap, because he didn't even make any money, really do anything. One guy I was saying that was going to start hitting was what's name was Diallo, and Diallo has been going nuts since the weekend. He had like 40 fantasy points like 2 days in a row or something like that.
Man, yeah, that's Diallo is something to look out for going forward. You were on that one, and I love him as a player too.
So, dude, we're both doing good. We're both, and the good thing is we're both kind of alternating. You know what I mean? Like, David, you win. I'm not doing so good. The day you may not do as good. I clean up, and we go back and forth. So it's good smoothing of the thing. And then the funny thing is I was like on my way to the airport yesterday, and I was like in such a great mood, whatever, man. And then I was saying, well, fuck, F football, whatever it is. And then it was funny. I was in the Discord when I was about to leave for the airport. It was 28-0, Cleveland. And I even commented in there, people don't even realize is that Pittsburgh is now forced to be the leading fantasy point getters of the day, right? And for everybody saying, oh, I can't believe I played Pittsburgh. You guys are actually in the driver's seat, right?
Right.
And then I wasn't even following the fantasy points. I was just listening to the game on the radio, and I'd just see what's happening. I'm like, oh my God, I wonder. Probably all the Cleveland people are just dead now. Right? Or all the other early game people are dead now. And I was looking, all of a sudden, Bobby sent me this text out of nowhere. Dude, maybe not F football. And it was one of those Pittsburgh stacks where it had Roethlisberger and every receiver who had over 25 fantasy points or whatever.
Yeah.
And the game wasn't even over yet. It had Kareem Hunt, and it was in like second or third place or something like that. What tournament was that? It was
the Monster. I played one lineup.
That was the Monster even?
Yeah, I played one lineup.
No wonder, because you were up like, it was cashed for 8K with like whatever that was, right?
Yeah, I thought I had a real shot at 100K again. It's been pretty wild that every day it's one of us is taking something down or coming close to it. And that
well, you know what? The good thing is listen, I know for my part, I'm feeding off of Bobby. So I'm just mooching off of him. So I'm just kind of doing my thing. Bobby's doing it all on his own.
Not true. All right, man. Well, let's get into today. That was a great weekend, and we're gonna keep it rolling. And you guys, again, I'm just gonna remind you. I'll put the link in the video.
Oh wait, first amateur mistake, by the way. I just forgot to do it. This is one of the first things Bobby taught me about DFS. Whenever you cash for something, just withdraw it. Seriously, because and you know what? I don't know whether it's for me. I still have get like PSD flashbacks from when all my poker money got frozen.
Yep, same here.
You literally gain nothing by keeping money on these sites.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And by the way, you're always a misclick away from entering a $25,000 tournament, which I
never thought of that
and caught before. I accidentally entered a $25,000 tournament.
I did that. I did that once in a baseball when I really had no business entering anything over $3. I had like 600 in the account. I hit something. I was in a 555, and then I didn't realize it until like later. It said like winning like 1,500. Like, how am I winning 1,500? I'm like, oh my God, I'm in this thing. And I think I ended up min cashing just thank God. But yeah, so I gotta take care of this. So let's get into today, which is well, tell me what I mean. You sent me something late last night. I mean, look, the good thing about the NBA when they had the bubble was that, you know, they were protected from COVID, right? They protected themselves, and there was really never any, in at least my head, doubt that whole thing was going to be pulled off. At least the games go, but now they're in the rest of the pool, man, with everybody else who's got to fight this thing. And I was wondering how it was going to shake out, because basketball's a rough sport, because if you don't have 5 players, you can't legally play. And if you have less than like 9, it's kind of irresponsible to play, if you want to know the truth.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're letting them play with what, 7 or 8 or whatever it is. But
well, they didn't let him play yesterday.
Yeah, but it's rough business, man. And you know, you're thinking there might be some kind of hiatus for the season or something like that.
I'm a little worried about the potential of it. Just I don't know what's going to really happen. I don't want to make that decision, but like,
it doesn't matter what you think. You know what I mean? We're just
it doesn't. It's just a read on the situations the way they've been going, and there was some talk yesterday about maybe some teams potentially taking a couple weeks off so they could make sure everybody's isolated and healthy.
Yeah, just to go, just some kind of like self-imposed bubble on the team at least, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess all we can do is just go with what we got right now. I mean, it was weird yesterday because obviously anybody playing, everybody was going to stack up everything in Boston, and then.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, like today's the same crap.
Yeah, it is, but it's maybe a little bit better.
You think so?
I don't know.
I mean, are you allowed to play like 7 people from the Sixers? I mean,
it certainly seems possible. Like, it seems like not a bad idea, actually. I mean,
keep something in mind. You know, like this is like just pure, pure math, right? So if you guys have ever looked at like projections, like minutes projections, you like add up people's minutes. Like if you ever did this and you add it up for like a team, it always ends up to 240, right? Because 48 minutes per game divided by an average of only 5 people on the court. But if you think about it, right, if you have only, 8 people there, right, then everybody's going to average 30 minutes, right? It's like, not to mention we only have 7. And then let's say you have a center, like let's say Dwight Howard, who physically can't play more than 24 minutes or whatever, then you're going to have 5 guys playing 40 minutes. It's basically a mathematically impossible fade. You know what I mean? So we'll see how we can make this work.
I want to touch on that really quick, because I did get, like, this is not a COVID thing, but there is a way you can play that gets things different. So what I did the other night and I was really decisive on it. I played on Saturday just because football was going on. I was just sort of hanging out, and I only played one lineup, or one big lineup. I played a few other ones, but I was confident that everybody was going to react completely wrong to Milwaukee with Giannis out. And that was
I reacted. Well, I don't really say wrong. I played Middleton and Portis and Drew. That's what I did.
Portis was nuts. But that's what I realized. That everybody kept saying, and I was watching the shows and stuff, and I don't want to talk about who was saying it, but we've seen this story a million times with Middleton before. Oh, we've seen this story every time. This is completely a different team.
That was a
Holiday is not Eric Bledsoe. Bobby Portis is the most active offensive player they have. Like, he literally is like Giannis in terms of usage. He's crazy.
Yeah.
So I just said, okay, leave everybody else out. I'm going to play just Portis. And
that's what you did. You just played Portis that night.
Only Portis. And I thought that, and look, it could have got. Look, it doesn't mean the other guys couldn't have gotten there. There's definitely Middleton could have got 50 anyway, and all this stuff. But becoming these stone cold locks when the things are different is one. The only way I would have played all those guys is if I was going to run it back with something. And that's the other thing you do. And that's what, like, my first thought, we'll get into the game by game, but with Philly tonight, my first thought is, okay, how do I play something on Atlanta to run back against this? Because
does it matter? Does it matter?
It matters. Well, first of all, the correlation is Atlanta actually has some opportunity too, but they're going to be tired. It's going to be hard for them to keep up on defense. Atlanta plays fast in general. Anyway, it's always going to be, you always want to try and do that. And then the truth is the correlation, just for no other fact, that if there is an overtime or if there is a back and forth thing going on, but mostly it's because if a team's limited, this limited with 8 players, they're going to be worn down.
So I think what we have to look for, right, is during the course of the slate. I mean, we'll go through game by game, but the key is you're going to be playing some Philly guys, and the question is what's the rest of your lineup going to look like, right? So what type of other guys are we going to look at to pair to filter in through our Philly guys to to make that work because you still look. You can't play just the Philly guys because they're all 3K, and you know it's not going to be enough salary. You know what I mean? It's not going to be enough points.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely like other games to analyze because that's the way this works.
Absolutely.
All right, so you want to start with New York, Chicago, New York, Charlotte?
Yeah, let's do it. Guys who are going to be overlooked are always the ones who are going to win you these slates. First guy for me that stands out on both sites, but especially DraftKings, is Mitchell Robinson at 5,500. The other one is Elf Payton on FanDuel because he's still cheap. That's basically most of my interest in this game. I love what LaMelo is doing. I think it's really good stuff. Like, I'm into it. I like Devontae Graham a little bit. I don't really know how to work him in exactly. He played 1 million minutes. The previous 2 games, and then yesterday on the back-to-back, or Saturday on the back-to-back, he only played 32, but still, he seems a little too cheap. But mostly, realistically, I think that most of my interest is just going to be simply on those 2 Knicks.
You don't want to pay for Randall?
I like Randall. I don't know that he's one of the guys you could consider spending up for. I like some other guys a little bit better, but he's certainly on the list. But I don't know that I'm really going to end up getting to him as much. Look, he's been a monster. He's actually priced appropriately now. It's getting to the point though where I'm probably just going to be like, okay, well, I'll probably just play Giannis instead if he's at this point.
Well, see, that's what I think. What I think I'd like to do, and this is my initial thought, is that my initial thought is playing 4 or 5 Sixers and then like doing a big correlation, mini stack with the other 2 or 3 players, right? Like not play like one guy from each game, you know what I mean? Like not make the best play from each game, but like but try to correlate, just like say 5 Sixers, for example. Or let's say 4 Sixers and a 2x2 from another game. You know what I mean? Or 5 Sixers and maybe 2 and 1 for another game or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to like find a game that has like good guys on both sides. So like you said, it seems like your interest in the Knicks is kind of like whatever, and the Knicks on the Charlotte also is kind of whatever. So maybe this is not the game to do that.
I do, yeah, but I do think that Mitchell Robinson is a little too cheap, and I think the matchup is good enough for him where he could end up getting himself like 40 here.
But what's interesting then is if you do that, then you probably are not going to play Embiid, right?
No, you play Embiid. You just lock up your center spot.
Okay.
I mean, look, that's why it's going to be. The reason I like it partially is just because it's going to be low owned. That's really the truth.
Okay.
And there's upside there. But yeah, this is not a fun fantasy game to me. LaMelo is appropriately priced and always can go off. He put up a triple double the other day. Put up 61. Jesus, on a back-to-back after playing his brother the night before and having one rebound away from a triple double. The guy's got some stuff, man. He's pretty good. But I just don't find myself all that interested. Maybe you could play Mitch Robin on the other side. You could play Devontae Graham even, but I just think I'm going to leave it alone.
Well, let's get to another center. I mean, Embiid's going to be obviously the priority spend up, but I mean, so what does that do to Andre Drummond's ownership?
I mean, it should be pretty low. The thing is, people will play one or the other probably. I don't know how many. I mean, some people will play them together, but I don't love Drummond in this match. I think he's a really good play. I don't think that he's like a guy I need to try to cram in, but he is. He's on my list of guys. I'm looking at it right now, but he's not. I don't have him I have him like in the 15 to 20% range, not the 45 to 55 like some of these guys on this slate.
Let me just again. I don't want to get too ahead, but let me just, for example, I want to put some guys in just to see what what salaries look like. So let's just put in this one. Let's put in who's another one? Who's another one? Isaiah Joe. We'll put in. I don't want to put in Embiid. I want to put in another guy. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I just want to see what you're looking at here. So like, if you did play, like for example, Drummond and then Embiid also. I mean, you could do this like so easily. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Is there a better case to be made? Maybe that Joval is a better play than Drummond. I think they're close.
But if you do that, right? So if you make Joval your play. Yeah, because there's other people you could spend up for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah, so I'm sort of like into the. Look, we'll see where the ownership ends up. I do think that Drummond is definitely a strong play. I think he's still going to have some ownership. I think people will play the two of them together some. Joe Val, I don't think anyone's going to play, and he's really good. He's been good.
Nobody's going to play him at all.
Yeah. I just want to throw out, I know that we have other value. Potentially, D'Anthony Melton might be better than that value. So here's my thinking. He's coming out the injury. They worked him back only 15 minutes the first game, 21 minutes, but then, the minutes trending up. I think the projected minutes for him, I'm going to bump up to 24 because I think that's the real projection. And I think it's got a chance to get up to like 26 or 28 if things break his way. He's a very good fantasy point per minute player. He's put up 25 and 22 in his last 2 games. He's 3,800 on DraftKings. And the second one of those was on a back-to-back, and the first one was at the front end of a back-to-back. So obviously they're not going to run him out there quite as much. I just think he's in play. I watched this team play. They run a lot of things through him without Ja there. They sort of haven't really figured out what they're doing exactly. But I have Melton on my list on DraftKings for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to find it hard to
play anyone other than Philly.
Yeah, at those positions.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
We'll see. I just throw him out there as a potential play. I'm not saying I'm locking him in or anything.
No, absolutely.
We need to figure out what happens with Sexton tonight, because honestly, like, he is another guy you could spend like in a middling range that makes some sense, but also like we've seen what Osman has done. He's only 5,100 on FanDuel in the games without Sexton. I mean, sort of hit or miss a little bit, but he's put up 43, 35, and he's 5,100 on FanDuel, so he's kind of interesting. But mostly this game is not too exciting for me outside of Drummond and Melton for me.
So you'll have to. So for me, I mean, you go to the Milwaukee Orlando game. Based on what I said about trying to find like maybe like two or three plays from another game to go with the Philly guys. See, this is the one that's kind of interesting to me because Orlando's totally screwed right now with its players, but the good thing is that they do have the one guy who one type of guy who would like to play against Milwaukee, and if you don't want to play Embiid, I mean, if you're going to play Embiid, and then there's all these other centers, I mean, you can play freaking Vooch, and I think Vooch is in a tremendous, spot right here. If he can play his full run before they get run out of the gym. So I like something like him and Giannis. That would be that would be a way to go. And the other thing is that the other piece that Milwaukee struggles against is threes. So you could go for an overpriced, Terrence Ross or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my idea. I'm not too into playing Cole Anthony tonight. If I'm going to play like a value guard, he better be able to outscore these other guys. And I just got this feeling that Drew Holiday just destroys him. I mean, if he guards him, I think it's a tough matchup for him.
Be interested on FanDuel on him at 4,500.
I didn't really look too much at the FanDuel.
Okay. Yeah, he's 4,500 on FanDuel, so I have a little bit of interest over there.
I will at the end of this stuff.
It's not that he's had terrible, he's been pretty bad the last couple of games. But the minutes
he was hurt or something, right? I mean,
they say that, but then he played on the back-to-back. He played 32 minutes in the second half of the back-to-back.
Did he really?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I have some interest on DraftKings. I'm sorry, on FanDuel. But yeah, I love your take about the Vooch Giannis thing. It reminds me again of the Saturday slate. That's what I did when we had all the value everywhere else. I played the Bobby Portis from Milwaukee, and then I played Vooch running it back with Vooch as a run back from Luka. And I think this is the same day you could do something very similar with Giannis and Vooch and hope that they can keep this game close. I'm skeptical that they are going to keep this game close, but I'm not totally decided that they can't. I mean, Terrence Ross can get hot. He's the other way they keep this game close. That's maybe Aaron Gordon starts off, or they start off up 10-0 or something. They get off to a good start. Like things happen in basketball. I'm not going to just write this one off.
You sure do.
Because this is not like a 20-point spread with minor leaguers on the other side, especially if Fournier is back. Orlando's actually a decent basketball team. They're better than people probably realize. So I like that idea. That's pretty much it for me in this game, would be Giannis and running it back.
Yep. So here's the other thing I'm thinking about. All right. So Phoenix is against Washington, and Washington has no Westbrook, and Washington also has no Thomas Bryant, right? So let me tell you what I'm interested in here. Okay. So I'm interested in two guys in this game. Well, you could make your argument for Beal, but my two arguments is two plays in this game are these. So Washington's not going to play Thomas Bryant. They're going to play some Moritz Wagner or something, right? Yeah. And go small and play their normal no defense. And this is going to be the Devin Booker 70-point night.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think if there's a spot for him to finally do it, this is it. He's been a little bit of a struggler. I had him the other day. Remember when I had him with Blake Griffin? I even got the overtime out of it. He still didn't get there. But this is a perfect spot. I mean, I think Washington's going to really just play small, and it's going to be up and down, and Booker's going to go nuts. And the other guy, boy, oh boy, what a loaded position. I mean, Moritz Wagner, is going to guard Ayton. Is that happening?
Right.
So I think Ayton's a tremendous play. I just don't know if I can get there. There's so many other centers.
How do you get there?
So for me, you know what I might do? I might play Booker Beal or something like that. But I definitely want to play Booker.
I'm into the Booker idea. I actually look, I've said this all year. I predicted this before the season started. I said Washington will be the fastest paced team in the NBA without a question. Now, maybe some of that goes away a little bit without Westbrook, but I don't think it really does all that much. And the defense is even worse now without these guys. It's a spot where this is what you might want to do some business in this game. Like, I like Chris Paul, which I don't usually like Chris Paul.
He's so cheap.
I like DeAndre Ayton, and I love Booker. I'm curious though if everyone else is going to start thinking the same thing about Booker. Like, maybe this is the time and the matchup and all this. And in general, it used to be where I liked Booker, and even when the game he scored 70 real life points, like that was against Boston, who was like the best defensive team in the NBA that time. But I don't know, man. I'm definitely interested in some of this too. I also don't think if everyone's going to flock as their other spend up to Bradley Beal, I will take that away. This team has been really good defensively in Phoenix. But yeah, like you said about Ayton, you said about Wagner. I'm interested in all of these guys. I think the real plays are going to be probably I'll play Booker and run it back with either Bertans or Hachimura. I do like Hachimura.
Yeah, like right here, again, I put those 5-6s in here right here. This is a Beal, Booker, Hachimura. Yeah, like 2x1.
Yeah, I like
Rudy,
that.
He kind of pissed me off a little bit the other day. I really thought he was going to be locked in for like 30 plus minutes the other day.
He had 3 fouls in like 5 minutes.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So he got in foul trouble the whole first half, which cost him, but he still ended up getting there. Like, he was 4,500 and he put up 26. Yeah. He just, and it was a back-to-back too after coming off an injury. So it's like there was more variance in that one than people realized. I felt crazy after a little while because I was like, oh my God, I loved Avdia, and I played Avdia in all my lineups.
You did? Oh, great.
But I didn't play just Avdia. I was thinking about doing that instead of Rui, and it would have been nice. Anyway, I think we want some parts of this game, and then like we don't need to get the value from Ish and Neto, I don't think, on this slate, but just mentioning their names. That's the only guys who I didn't talk about. I do think Bertans and Rui both have I could very easily see them getting 35 to 45 here. So I'm interested in them.
Yeah, Bertans is always. He's always got 50-point upside.
Yep, that's right. If he gets hot, and the thing is, so does Rui. Like, I don't know if people watch this guy play. Like, he's really good. Like,
no, I never watch him play because whenever I look up, he's always on the bench.
No, but he's been coming back from an injury, and then he was injured, and then he was a rookie. Like, there's a million things. I expect him to be a 32 to 36 minute per game guy. Like, he's going to be. He is right now. Maybe not when Westbrook's back, but when Westbrook's out, certainly he is. All right.
All right. So I guess the thing I think I want to do with Philly, we go to okay. So now we're going to Philly, Atlanta. For those of you that haven't been kind of following this, Philly's missing all of their non-centers. They're missing Simmons, they're missing Harris, they're missing Shake Milton, and they're going to play 8 guys.
They've actually got. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They actually have 9 guys, but 4 of them are centers. So
right. So the point is that all these guys just kind of forced in, like these guys like Isaiah Joe, Danny Green. I'm just reading off the non-centers. Danny Green, Paul Reed, Tyrese Maxey, Dakota Mathias. They're just all going to get 35 plus minutes. They're just forced.
Well, some of them are. I don't know actually. Those sheets. I'm not as.
You got to do the math. I'm telling you, it's going to be impossible.
So think about it. So if Danny Green will play 32 minutes, I think.
Well, no, but it's got to end up to 240. Remember, you got to have Embiid.
I got you.
Okay, so Dwight Howard can only play 24 minutes.
I think Dwight Howard's only going to play like 15 minutes. I don't think he's
Yeah, so I mean, and they're not going to make Embiid play more than 40 minutes or 42 minutes.
I expect Embiid to play 35 minutes.
Yeah, I think
I
think when you screw around with the math, you're going to see that these guys are just kind of forced in there.
I have a little, I don't know. I'm not quite as 100% sure as you are about this because I'm looking at it. Okay, so let's do a little bit of the math for a second because it's important. Paul Reed, Tony Bradley will combine for about 30 minutes. They're both bigs, but Atlanta kind of plays two bigs. So you can play two bigs against Atlanta. Like you can play alongside somebody alongside Embiid because you've got Collins and what's his name out there? Collins and Capella. But then you go like Mike Scott is the obvious one. Like, I mean, I think he's it's just weird to think Mike Scott's going to play like 35 minutes in a game, but he would be the one who had
keep something in mind that this game is officially a joke. You know what I mean? Like I really don't, whoever the coach of Philly is, I really don't think he has any interest in like planning out, okay, so I play him this, I play this guy, I'll get bigs against this. He wants to get out of this thing alive. You know what I mean?
Counterpoint.
Whatever.
I got a counter to this one. I don't agree. Right. I think this team really wants to win. I think Joel Embiid wants to win the MVP. They've been the best team in the NBA, and it means something to them. They feel like they've had everybody talking crap about them for the last 2 years. Doc Rivers included had the same thing. He had to let down with the Lakers last time. So I actually think that with the Clippers last year. I think that they come to play. I don't think that they're like in a position where we should be just thinking they're going to get smoked. They might get smoked because Atlanta's pretty good.
Well, I'm not even saying they might get smoked. They could win anyway, but I'm just saying that I don't think they're going to be like just too concerned about the players. You know what I mean? And when I mean that, I'm like, all right, so Tony Bradley's going to come in for Howard. I think they're going to run Embiid out with with whatever starters, and whoever's tired they're going to bring out. Whoever's playing well, they're going to leave in. And it's, you know, I really don't think they're planning too much this game. I think they're going to throw out their guys and hopefully they get hot. And look, they're gonna have some fun. You know, they're playing Atlanta, who plays a fast pace, you know, and all these guys who are never gonna see 35, 40 minutes again are just gonna get out there and enjoy themselves, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, no, maybe you're right. So who are we prioritize? So okay, Maxey, Embiid, and Scott are the obvious ones, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe Mike Scott would be a little less obvious than that. So
I am actually like when I like rank, I mean, this is all gonna change, right? But when I rank the guys just on, for example, on just points per dollar, like literally on the slate, like the top 6 guys on the slate are all Philly. Like in order, it goes for me. It goes Maxey, then a drop, small drop to Scott, and then I have Reed, Danny Green, and they're all very similar. Danny Green and Embiid's different, right? But I'm still on point per dollar, like Embiid. And this Isaiah Joe guy, it's like it's all of them like very close. So what I'm going to probably do is I'm not going to lock anybody in. That'll be the way I become different, I guess. I'll like do a maximum of having 65% of a single guy. So this way I don't get like just jammed into 100% Maxey, like for example, or 100% Mike Scott, because you know like these guys aren't the greatest players in the world, and maybe one guy gets better efficiency than the other, and maybe I do it that way. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because remember, I despite the fact that he went off the last couple of games, I was anti-Maxey after his last game, even though he did well for me. I don't think he plays very efficiently. I don't think that I'm not a big Maxey guy. So if he's going to be the 100% owned guy,
you mean for DFS or for real life?
Real life. So
gold mine for DFS.
Yeah, so whatever. So again, I'm just looking for an excuse, right?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So I'm looking for an excuse. So if he's going to be the 100% owned guy, which I presume he's going to be, then again, I'm not going to fade him, right? But I'll go under. I'll go like 60% or something like that. And I'll have to have a minimum of what? What's a minimum? 4? Can you have less than 4 Philly guys?
So we have to figure out if Mike Scott's playing. That's the really.
Well, that's even worse. I mean, like,
no, it's not that he's questionable. It's just that he has a knee injury. He hasn't played.
Right.
And he's projecting for over 30 minutes across the industry. Like,
I will tell you my favorite plays. Okay, here's my favorite play besides Embiid. no, look, it's really nice and sexy. You play the rookie Maxey, you play the Paul Reeds you never heard of, and the Isaiah Joes. The only guys like I know is an actual basketball player is Danny Green. And I think that I don't think there's any world right now where he's not the priority for me. If I had to make one.
All right. I'm different. I'm a little different on this one.
Okay, beautiful. All right,
I
excellent.
would rather play these other guys personally.
Okay.
Danny Green is a low usage, non-shot creating player.
Normally, when he's playing with like LeBron James and
no, he's always been this. He's been that. We've seen this for his entire career. This is always what he's been. I saw him on Spurs teams where they rested literally the entire starting lineup, and he would do absolutely nothing. I used to play him in those days at 3K. He'd put up 9 fantasy points in 30 minutes.
So what are you doing then? What do you think?
So I'm going with I right now. And look, it's probably going to change later. I need to hear more about Mike Scott because I really feel like that's going to dictate a lot.
Let's see the last thing it says here. Probable for Monday's game.
Yeah, but does that mean they're going to play him 32 minutes when 2 guys in the front court were projecting for like 25 minutes instead of the 40 they played the other day? They played 40.
Yeah, I think he'll play 32.
So if he does, though, that means Paul Reed is not going to play the 26 minutes. Well, or
so do you want to do some funny business? Do you want to like make rules where a max one of Scott or Reed or something like that?
No, I don't feel confident enough to do that yet. I need to hear more. I need to dig more into this one. Yeah. I honestly, it's confusing. Other than Maxey and Embiid, I feel like everyone has more risk than they're probably being treated with. Maybe Isaiah Joe or Matthias make more sense. I mean, Isaiah Joe.
Matthias looked pretty good, by the way, the other day when I watched him play. Yeah.
Yeah, and he played 41 minutes. Like
that wasn't even the game I watched. I was watching the game where he played 13. I mean, he didn't. His stats and whatever, but he didn't look that bad when I was watching him.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hear he's decent. I don't know a ton about him, to be honest with you.
He had 5 assists. That's something.
Isaiah Joe, I do like.
We know him
probably better than these other guys because he's going to take shots.
Like 45 minutes.
I know. I don't even know did that game go into overtime or something?
No.
Are these like misprints? I mean,
this is what happens. It's 7 guys.
Yeah, that's right. There's no Embiid and no Simmons. I missed that.
Yeah.
That because that was on the early part of the slate. I didn't play that early slate.
That's right.
Oh boy, but that was without Embiid also.
Yeah.
And so as of right now, like just for the interest of this,
maybe you're right. Danny Green only played 36 minutes that night.
That's about what he'll play, I think. Yeah. But I would go Maxey. Maxey's my number one.
Well, so in fairness, for Maxey, I mean, even though I would talk trash, whatever, this is like the perfect matchup for him too. I mean, because he's like he goes 1,000 miles an hour, and Atlanta lets you go 1,000 miles an hour.
Didn't he put up like 45 real life points the other night or something?
Yeah, I sure did.
He was unbelievable. He was 18 for 33 from the floor. You don't get that every day. Jesus.
Yeah, 33. That's the most shots he's probably ever going to take.
That's more shots than he was probably projected to take this entire season.
Yeah. So do you now again? So do you have to run it back with Atlanta? So
no, you don't have to, but you can because. But I think it's not. If you play like 4 of them, I think that it's not a bad idea to. And I don't think that I actually like on FanDuel. I like Kevin Herter. We have no Bogdanovich anymore. The minutes are going to be secure. Really sad.
He's hurt.
Bogdanovich. But Kevin Herter is not a bad play here. He's actually a pretty active offensive player for them, and he's not just a scoring guy. He actually like his last 2 games, 6 assists. He can get some assists. He can get you some rebounds. He's a guy who's kind of on my list more on FanDuel because the price is a little bit higher on DraftKings than I want to pay for him. But he would probably be the most natural run back. I also kind of like the idea of playing John Collins. Those are the guys who I'm most interested in, with a little bit of interest in Trey. But it's, honestly, Trey maybe gets more of a boost than I'm giving credit for without the Bogdanovich thing. Yeah, maybe Trey's up. Maybe Trey would be the guy. But those would be
not only that, but I mean, let's call it what it is. These Philly guys are not going to be able to guard him.
That's true. That's very, very true. The question is, if they're not able to guard anyone, will he do his "I'm going to be a good teammate" thing? You know what I mean? Which we don't want that. We want the selfish guy who wants to just put up stats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that I'd rank him Herter, Collins. I'm sorry, Herter, Young, Collins on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I think it would be Young actually above the other 2 for me.
The other thing to think about also is that, we're not going to predict blowouts, whatever. But
certainly possible.
If there are 8 guys, if Tyrese Maxey is 100% owned or whatever, I mean, he did play like a zillion minutes the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's not the one that's out there. I don't know.
Yeah, just watching him and the way that he is, his attitude on the court, it's hard for me not to see that. But
I know, I
hear you, man. Like,
but aren't they supposed to protect their rookies a little bit, or not really?
I mean, I don't know. This is to me, this is your time to shine. Get out there and play 45 minutes for me. That's what I would be doing.
Like those relievers that have to eat those 12 to eat those last 5 innings of the game when they're down 13-0.
That's right. That's right. By the way, do you know who won that game the other night? Did they win the game?
I think they lost.
I mean, it's pretty crazy against Denver to at least be competitive, even without these.
Yeah, they were competitive, but I think they lost.
Wow, that's pretty embarrassing for Denver.
Yeah, they lost by 12.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive stuff, though. I mean, like, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Matthias with 41.20. Who did anybody have more than 1 fantasy point per minute for that game except for Maxey? How was Isaiah Joe? He was 45 minutes, 24 fantasy points. We have Maxey, who was 44 minutes, 61 fantasy points, 39 real life points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. That is a line, isn't it?
I mean, you can play these guys together, obviously, but I think that you may have hit on something. Like, maybe just play, because the guys who are backups are just not going to get owned as much. Why don't we just play the backups in this game?
So wait a minute. So we don't know who's going to start anyway.
We don't know yet, but when we find out, that's what we do.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Embiid and Maxey are going to start.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Danny Green is going to start.
Danny Green will start.
But aside from that, I mean, you could make a case for anybody, no?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, but starting is going to mean, I mean, they're going to be out of, I mean, they're going to be shuffling guys in and out all day. I mean, like.
But also, we want the guys who are not starting because Embiid and Maxey will take up the usage.
That's true. That's
very true. Mike Scott, if he's off the bench and that drops his ownership, that's not going to.
The only problem with the Mike Scott, again, you got me a little nervous because you said because of his injury, you know.
Yeah, it's a little worrisome for me. But again, it depends on what the ownership is. I'm willing to embrace that you know, if he's going to be low owned, if he's going to be high owned, where he's currently projected. Yeah, that's going to be tough to play him. But otherwise, yeah, let's just go right back to Paul Reed. Let's go to Matthias, play Isaiah Joe. These are the guys, you know, maybe who get a little bit less ownership.
Paul Reed only played 26 minutes. I mean,
yeah, it's a little worrisome.
He must be just the worst.
How did he only play 26 minutes in the game?
That's what I'm saying.
It's pretty nuts.
He must really be the worst player in basketball.
You know who is a good fantasy point per minute guy is Tony Bradley, but like not only does he eat up a center,
he's not getting in there, is he?
Yeah, but it's a problem. He is a center. Like I mean, it's, yeah, they have Tony Bradley, Dwight Howard. Actually, he's power forward on. Oh, that's FanDuel. Dwight Howard. I mean, honestly, it's bizarre. They're going to run about. They're going to put out that lineup with all 7-footers.
I'm telling you, the Paul Reed guy reminds you of. And I don't even know who Paul Reed is, right? But Paul Reed guy reminds me of when I was coach AAU. I look at scorebooks of old games and I'm like, oh my God, XYZ got 6 points in this game? Oh, he must have won by 50. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, there had to be a reason why I had this kid in long enough for him to score 6 points. And we were like, must have won by 50 or something like that. Funny. That's like the Paul Reed, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, should we jump over to the next one? Because this one, obviously, this is where the site's going to be won or lost, but like I think we've covered it. As best we can. We'll revisit it again.
Well, I disagree. So I'm saying that the slate is not going to be won or lost there. I'm saying that everybody's going to have the same on that game, and that the slate's going to be won or lost in the other games. So what you do with those other positions, I think, is what's going to make it. That's my thing.
Yeah, and I agree, but you obviously have to get the right pieces. As we just saw with Washington the other day, like, I mean, that was a great example of if you don't have the right pieces, you're just dead. Because everybody's going to own some part of it.
So let's be thematic here, right? So now we get to the Dallas game where we get to see possibly the best player in basketball. And he's only 8,200. Is he going to be playing? Yeah, he's going to make his debut Monday night. We're all talking about Kristaps Porzingis, right?
Back.
That's right. So we're not going to play him on probably what's going to be a 25-minute limit or something like that. But we got. But we're going to be ready, man, because this was one of your great calls last year. Was on a regular basis, just keep playing him. You know, even when Luka was in, or whatever it is, he was amazing.
He
So
really
once
was.
he gets full, gets unleashed for real, what I'm only hoping is that in these kind of like games where he gets eased back, he doesn't all do that much. Because if he comes back and plays 24 minutes and scores like 40 fantasy points, we're like dead. Because then when he gets announced without restrictions, he's going to be 9,100 and 40% owned. So
Right.
but let's see what it actually says. Management camera ramp up his workload.
It's gonna be like 22 minutes, I think, 24 minutes.
So he's a welcome addition. So is there any coach speak above what I just said that I'm not sure? I mean, have they said what they 20, 25 minutes or not?
Sorry. The Mavericks and Pelicans game just got postponed.
What?
This could be one of the days. This could be
Oh my
one of
God.
those days.
And I suppose it's not because of the sprinkler system this time.
Not enough eligible players.
For what team?
We haven't even heard about these guys.
For which team?
I don't know. I don't think they want us to know, but that's so guys, it's gonna be a
It's gonna be one of those.
There's no nice way to put it. It's gonna be a shit show.
No, the nice way to put it is you play the early games like we've talked about.
Yeah, I think you
We gotta go to somebody's gotta go to Discord and figure out what's going on. Well, we'll figure it out as soon as we hang up, and we'll probably have all the info. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, that just popped.
Pelicans Mavs postponed.
Wow.
Not enough players. I'll play. I'll suit me up.
Oh man. All right. Well, hopefully that won't be the case. And the truth, the weird part about that is that we haven't even heard, like, there hasn't been rumors about COVID going on with those guys. And they just announced Porzingis in right before that. So that's like worrisome.
What is going on?
I would bet you anything that this is what I was writing. This is what I was trying to say. It doesn't do a lot of good to predict it, but maybe it does, because maybe playing like the earlier games, the earlier the better. But I could easily see a lot of business happening where the other games, something happens with the other games too. Although like Toronto and Portland, we've heard nothing about COVID for either of these teams. But I don't know. I mean, it's literally 2 minutes after. Okay, no, 3 minutes. It was 3 minutes later from when they announced Porzingis in to that. Oh no, I guess it was a little longer than that. But still, that's just bizarre. Oh, okay. Do you want to try and do Toronto Portland?
Yeah. So I like Toronto side. I like Siakam. I like Lowry. Those are my two favorites. I'm not as much of a Van Vliet guy as a lot of guys are. But so you can talk me into it if you want. But I like the other guy. I like Siakam and Lowry better. And then on Portland, I like I guess Lillard the best. Or should I play McCollum? I don't know. Dude, another center? I can't get there. I can't get to Nurkic. I just can't do it. Just too many guys ahead of him. I would pick.
Yeah, so you got Toronto on the back-to-back here. Like, one thing that's great about Toronto is that we just know who's ever going to play. They're just going to play a ton of minutes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And even the other night, like Van Vliet would have put up like 75 in that game against Sacramento, but they just blew him out by too much. He was going to play 44 minutes. Like, he was on his way to playing 44 to 48 minutes. They were just up by 30 points in the fourth quarter, so they didn't need him anymore. But he was nuts. He was absolutely unbelievable in that game. This is another dream matchup. I'm not going to probably get to Siakam very much. I don't really have a great excuse for why. It's just maybe he's a little bit more expensive than I want to pay, but I do like Lowry and Van Vliet both. And I'm telling you right now, there's going to be some games where we're going to be saying, man, why didn't we have OG? Because this guy does so much other than scoring that if he ever gets that 20 real life point game or gets there, he's always going to get there for you. I don't think we need to get him on this slate. I think for me, it's really Lowry and Anunoby. By the way, Chris Boucher, I mean, Sheets, that I wish I would have stuck with that call. That would have been the call of a lifetime if I would have done it on that slate. He was like 2% owned or 1% owned, and what did he put up the other night? 50?
Did he really?
He put up 50, and it was exactly what I said. I said, this is the dream match spot for Sacramento. And right as he comes in the game, the announcer the play-by-play guy goes, there couldn't be a better matchup for a guy like Chris Boucher than this matchup. And he just boom right out the gate. He's got 15 fantasy points in the first 2 minutes. It was like, oh my goodness. I had him like 6% or something, but just nothing big enough. But yeah, it's just those two guys for me on that side. And then I will go right back to Dame. And I also think that Nurkic is going to see a little bit of an uptick in minutes if the games stay close. He's played really, really well the last couple games after sort of slumping. but again, the minutes, because of the blowouts, you don't see it. And he sat on the back-to-back also. So I like Nurkic. Look, man, at some point we have to decide whether or not we just cut ties with Robert Covington or not. Never really gets there fantasy-wise, but I still believe he's still a good real-life basketball player. His game is going to be really fast. He's 4,800 on FanDuel. So I mean, but again, I think that if I'm going to prioritize, I'm willing to overspend for Lillard on tonight's slate. It's not a good matchup though. It's maybe the better move would be to play McCollum. It's just he feels so expensive.
Well, so again, here's another example. So like if you use, for example, 5 Philly guys for a helmet, again, you could play, say, like Lowry, OG, and Lillard from this game or something like that, as your other 3 spots. And what you do is, again, you I don't say eat the chalk, but you play the Philly guys, whatever, and hope they do whatever they do. And then, you play for overtime in the other 3 spots. You know what I mean? Like in the other 3 spots in your lineup, you stack, you make sure that the 3 guys are from the same game. You either do, for example, like Lowry, Onubi, or Lillard here, or you go back to the Phoenix, Washington, and you play Booker with whatever it was, Beal and whoever, or you go to Orlando, you play Giannis with what's his face, with Vooch, but in that case you can't play Embiid, and then you just kind of play it that way. That's going to be my approach.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Sadly, Nurkic is only center, obviously, only center eligible.
Right.
I do like Nurkic tonight. I just wish that we could get him in somewhere. I just don't think it's possible. All right, you want to do the last one? I can jump in there if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I love, and unfortunately he's going to be popular, but I really like what Malcolm Brogdon's been doing, and this is the dream matchup, so I can't just like write him off. But maybe what we do is, maybe playing Oladipo would be all of these guys are on my list right now. Well, all 3 of them. Oladipo, I think is, we just haven't, he's been shooting the ball terribly. He's taken 20 shots though in the last couple of games, 6 for 20, 7 for 21. If he starts hitting his shots, I mean, he's going to get there. He's active. His rebounds have been up a little. But Brogdon really seems to have taken the reins. So one of those 2 guys I'm interested in. And then I also do like Sabonis. If you want to get into this game, I think that makes a lot of sense. Sabonis at 92 on FanDuel, 93 on DraftKings. He's just been a monster. And this, like, you can't have a better matchup than Sacramento these days. You really can't. Everybody's having every time you look at this, the guy's stat log, it's against Sacramento. If we think De'Aaron Fox is going to play 30 plus minutes, and we'll get confirmation on that, I think. I think we absolutely play De'Aaron Fox at 7,300. This is a little too cheap for him. I also think Halliburton for GPPs makes some sense, more on FanDuel at 5,400, but I'm not like in love with it. I would rather just play Buddy Hield on FanDuel at 5K and probably skipping these guys on DraftKings, except for maybe De'Aaron Fox.
Did you see what happened the other day? What? Almost. It was almost Hassan Whiteside blow up day. 24 minutes, 28 fantasy points.
Wait, this does feel like it would be the game too.
Well, let's see what happens with Holmes,
Obviously, but like, even with Holmes playing, if he's limited at all, it's an ankle injury. I mean, look, this is a team that plays huge. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
So this is like, again, this would be the construction. So if you play, say, Brogdon and Sabonis, Bagley's the one that fits, or you could play Bagley. Now you're saying you like Fox if he plays, right?
I do like Fox. I FanDuel especially at 7,300, but yeah, Bagley too. I mean, you can put him on the list. It's not a good matchup for Bagley. I don't like that part of it, and he's really not even in the game without where Holmes sat out. He only played 24 minutes. What about
your Harrison Barnes? Been he tapered off a little bit, but he's still been doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's been great. He's been great to me. I didn't play him the last game, so that was good. But I think the price is a little bit caught up. You know what I mean? Before, when he was like a 4,800 5K player, I was like, okay, this is too cheap for this guy. But now that he's at 62, it's a little bit harder to justify.
Yeah, so I think that my approach is going to be very, very basic, but it's just a question of how much I shuffle the Phillies, if you want to know the truth, because I think it's very, I really do think it's very random. I mean, I know that we can try to predict. Look, like I said, I know Embiid's starting, and I could And it's not a question of me predicting it because they're going to announce who's starting. At least they'll give us at least 3 minutes notice on that one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
By
the way, I should clarify what happened in Dallas too. I mean, they did say that I forgot about the Kleber testing positive before. I thought the other players were out because of contact with other people, which is why I thought they were sitting. But it looks like that they don't have 8 guys who. I mean, they're not supposed to say guys have it, but
do you think they have it?
I think that they do. I think that they said they don't have 8 players. And
yeah, but it could be they don't have them because of the tracing protocol.
That's possible too. Let's hope it's that one, just because it would be better.
But you know what I heard? I heard that some like the San Antonio, there's like this couple of San Antonio guys who like staff members, including like what's her name, Becky Harmon and maybe some others. That I think that some of them are going to be out 2 weeks or something like that. It was so I think that there's actually positive cases over there too.
Shoot. Well, I hope we don't have anything else canceled tonight, and I hope that everybody else is safe and healthy. Boy, that's kind of this is a weird time. This reminds me a little bit, Sheets, of the day when the COVID first hit. You know, unfortunately, and also
it's always Sacramento.
Ugh. Okay. All right, guys, we'll try and do a better job for you before long.
No, let me tell you something. I thought we did a great job because I'm telling you, I'm telling you exactly at 1 p.m. what I'm going to do, right? And again, when we get to 6 o'clock, it could be totally different. And just guys, let me explain something to you, okay? So I'm gonna from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock tonight, we're going to be doing the live thing, and at 7 o'clock, I am going to be celebrating my birthday with my family because it's my birthday today. But what that means is that I'm actually like telling my family to wait until 7 to celebrate my birthday so that I could be there from 6 to 7.
Look at this guy.
He's putting
into work even after the big win. He's not relaxing at all. He's working on his birthday. Exactly. We appreciate it. Well, for Sheets, we appreciate it, man. Guys, we will be there for you, and we'll figure this stuff out together. All right. Again, check out the Discord channel for Sheets. I'm Bobby saying we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.
What a train wreck.